So this is our weekly Four Questions Journalist Spotlight, and we are talking this week to Dan Whisenhunt with Decatur-ish. And Dan, I'm going to let you give us a little update, a little overview about what is Decatur-ish, and then we'll kind of chat a little bit about some of the questions here.
Yeah, so Decatur-ish is a local news website. We're based in Decatur, Georgia. We cover Decatur, we cover Avondale Estates, we cover the sort of the metro area around that. So Druid Hills, Medlock Park, Kirkwood. We're starting to do coverage in Tucker now. So it's kind of in that central DeKalb area in and around Decatur, hence the ish. And so we publish, generally 7 days a week. We publish more heavily Monday through Friday, obviously, because otherwise I would never get time off. So we try to limit our publishing, our heavy-duty publishing just to Monday through Friday. But, that often is not the case because we always have to deal with breaking news and stuff usually. So I set those deadlines, but, I often don't meet my own deadlines for not working. And yeah, so we cover local news, we cover politics, we cover COVID-19. Seems like COVID-19 is all we've been covering for many, 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 many weeks. And probably many more weeks, but we're starting to get into some other fun stuff like how COVID is messing up the budgets of cities and all that good stuff. So that's crime news and lawsuits and all that.
So you segued nicely into my first question about kind of what you're reporting on currently, which is obviously a little bit more pandemic focused.
Yeah, it's a little more pandemic-y than we usually get.
Yeah. So how has the pandemic and the stay at home and shelter in place and whatnot, has that affected how you're reporting or how you're able to gather stories?
Well, yes and no. I mean, I've always generally had a home office. I have a co-working space in downtown Decatur as well. I haven't been able to go there in a while, but I'm an internet-based publication, an internet-based company. Most of what I do can be done that way. Where it's changed things is that we don't have the in-person meetings that we used to. And so we have a lot more filters between ourselves and the information. Some of that is easy to get around. Some of it's not. People are generally more stressed and irritable than they normally would be. So I try to be mindful of people's time and respectful of that. And I try not to impose upon people's time anyway, but especially now, I try to be really thoughtful about when I email people and what I'm asking them and what their time constraints are, and making sure that, my deadlines aren't arbitrary and needless, because it's not like there's a shortage of things to write about. We got plenty of things to cover on any given day. So it's made me a lot more patient and a lot less, now than I would be in ordinary circumstances, because I call this is like the 2-month hurricane. Like a hurricane is typically like a week. The storm hits, you got the aftermath, whatever damage it did. This is just like a perpetual hurricane. It doesn't stop. There's always something new and breaking with it. So
is there a story you've worked on recently that had kind of special meaning for you? I know you've been covering the healthcare side of this and the data side of this and the business side of this. Is there a story that stands out and you look back over the last 2 months and said, I'm really proud that we really were able to cover this story in this way?
I think any of the stories we've written about the people who have dealt with it matter to me, because I think so much of what we see, there's this disconnect of people who read these stories online and they're just like, I don't know anybody who has it. Why should I do anything? Why should I change the way I live or my habits? And I think anytime we can put a face to what's been going on, that's important. It's important to do that. I think some of our, just looking at the way that the state has handled itself and in terms of the shelter in place type orders and how it's really created this disconnect. I think we've done a pretty decent job of showing, because we cover more than just one city, we were able to show how different cities basically took it upon themselves to deal with the pandemic in different ways, absent a state response. And it created, it was really confusing around here for a while, because Decatur had a, order that said, we're closing all our restaurants, you need to stay at home. And Tucker said, well, we're going to have a curfew, but we're not going to close our restaurants. And DeKalb said a different thing. And, I think being able to keep our eye on multiple responses happening simultaneously really helped illustrate that problem for people in ways that it might not have at another publication, because it was really all over the place. And now I guess it won't be, because the state said that the cities can't enact their own shelter-in-place orders. So we're open for business for whatever that's worth. Doesn't feel like it to me. I know most people I know aren't going anywhere, and they're staying at home. We're not going anywhere. It's been me and my wife and my son at home for weeks and weeks and weeks now. So,
all right. So what's the funniest thing that's happened in this whole experience? Something you just cracked up laughing at?
I think the first few days of it was kind of interesting, where I said, well, who's running this response? And they're like, DeKalb Emergency Management Agency. And I go on the DeKalb Emergency Management Agency website, and there's like nothing about the pandemic, and like the CDC is right there. So I think we ended up doing a USA Today story about that as well. Where it's like, yeah, it's great the CDC's here and we have all this leadership, but locally it's just basically every person for themselves. So I think that was probably, if there's anything that could be funny about it. Trying to think if there's anything else that, like, it's so hard to find humor in it. It's so sad in so many different ways. But
yeah, I mean, it's
just the Zoom meetings. Seeing people like you, like city commissioners, having to stop a meeting to swat a hornet, that landed on their computer or something. It's just kind of funny. Getting to see people in their natural environment it's been humanizing, and it's been entertaining for sure. And seeing old people learn how to use Zoom has been funny in and of itself. It's this thing on.
Right. Where am I supposed to be looking?
Yeah. Normally it's been mostly just funny stuff with the kid at home, and that's about that. But that's just the small stuff. It's not any one thing. It's just the small things, and how humans are so social. We really depend on that interaction, even though, before all this happened, everyone's like, we're so alone and we're so isolated. Well, maybe not as much as we thought, because we sure as hell miss it now.
Right. So technology wise, it looks like everything's been working out for you in terms of, getting the stories written and getting them up on the site. No issues there with technology.
No, no, we've done pretty well with that. The server's stable. I wish that my host would quit hitting me up for more money because I don't have it. I pay $300 a month for my server, which it's a high traffic server, but everything on the internet that feels like works as like a toll lane. So it's like the more successful I am, the more money they want from me. And I get it, but at the same time, like in this particular instance, more traffic does not mean more money. It's the weirdest thing that the media is having to deal with, is where we have more readers and engagement than we've ever had, but the money is going in the opposite direction. So that's the only technical challenge. And it's not really a challenge because WP Engine didn't, downgrade my site or anything, but it's still frustrating, when I get a whole email that's like, nice website you have there, be a shame if your traffic got down. I mean, they never sent me anything like that, but the implication is, well, you're getting a lot of traffic and that's not really what your service plan is, and maybe you should upgrade it. But
yeah,
I'm at the highest tier. Like the tier above mine is like, you're talking about thousands of dollars a month probably, which I don't have.
So, what kind of stories do you want to do next? What do you feel like needs to be covered next?
We really need to get into the data because the way the state is presenting its COVID-19 data is just confusing the hell out of everybody. They updated the state. I've got Kathy Harris, who's one of our freelancers, and she actually used to cover epidemiology stories in a previous job. And I'm going to have her talk to some experts over at Emory, call the state, and try to get a better handle on it, because people are looking at these numbers and they're not coming away with a better understanding of where we really are and where we need to be. That is the thing that bothers me the most right now, is we really don't know what the playing field looks like. We keep talking about, we keep setting these dates like we're going to open on April 30th or whatever, or we're going to let the shelter in place order expire. But what we need to know is what is the light. We need to know the length of the tunnel before we even see the light at the end of it. Like, what is the plan here? Like, what are we waiting on? Are we waiting on, X number of cases a day, and for it to go, like, what is that? I haven't heard anything. I've heard what the federal government's doing, but apparently we're not following that. I just got an email today before you and I started chatting from City Schools of Decatur, and they're like, hey, we don't know if we're going to be able to go back to school next year. So you got 3 months to ponder that nightmare. Right. It's really going to be there needs to be leadership. And I think that's really what all media should be pushing for right now, is we need a national game plan. How are we going to get out of this? Because right now, that uncertainty is the worst. You can't plan for anything anymore.
So have you had a chance for any kind of recreation? Any good relaxing a bit? I know you got the kid keeping you busy.
So yeah, we got the kids. So I trying to break. Hold on. We got Nintendo Switch. My wife and my son both have our own Switches, and so we're really into playing this. It's a fun little diversion. My son is 5, but y'all aren't gonna judge me. Y'all better not judge me. But so my son is 5, and he was playing Mario Kart on my Switch, and that was cute. But then I wanted to play my Switch too, because I also had downtime, and so we ended up going out and, like, right before everything shut down, we went and got him a Switch Lite, which is like the handheld version of it.
Yeah.
And you cannot pry him away from that. We like have started to like implement new rules, but what are you going to do? Like, I mean, he's an only child. He doesn't have anybody else to play with besides us. So we kind of have to make those concessions to keep ourselves sane.
Yeah.
That's about the extent of it. And going for walks, I go out for a walk every day, and just try to stay active. I mean, I tell people, if it weren't for my pillbox, I wouldn't know what day of the week it was. I mean, I had to put it all in a Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. Oh, it's Wednesday. I gotta do this.
You guys just hit a good milestone. You were telling me the other day, right?
Yeah. So we got 1,000 paying supporters, which is cool. I think we're at like 1,040 something right now, which is cool, because my goal was 2,500 by the end of 2021, and I was already bracing myself mentally to have to eat that, because I didn't think that we would get 1,000 by the end of this year at the rate we were going before this hit. So that's awesome. I hope it lasts. I mean, I can't really fault people. If we're in the middle of a freaking depression, 3 months from now, I'm not going to be able to hold it against people who are like, I need that $3 a month back. I'll put in my plug here, support local journalism. Yeah. Please. If it's not me, support somebody else. I really don't, I'm not choosy.
Yeah.
I still have my subscription to WAPO and New York Times and in Anniston and all those places. So I probably got more news subscriptions than any person needs, but
I just subscribed to last week to the Morgan County Citizen, a friend of mine.
Oh, wow.
friend of mine's the editor out there, and the Covington News. I got a friend out there, so I thought, I'm going to put my money where my mouth is and subscribe and support the local papers out that way too. So
excellent. Yep, that's the best thing you can do for local media right now.
Cool. Well, Dan, I appreciate your time. We've been talking to Dan with Decatorish. Check it out, decatorish.com, right?
Yep, decatorish.com. Monday through Friday, sometimes Saturday, Sunday. Always online.
We know how that works.
Yeah.
Great.
Yep.
Dan, thanks very much.
Thanks, Mitch. Have a good day.